Greetings and may I hotel. This is our sunrise. It's happening around my aunt. Peace and blessings. I want to read something right here. It said, and it came to pass when Jesus had finished all these sayings, he said unto his disciples, ye know that after 2 days is the feast of the Passover, and the Son of Man is betrayed to be crucified. Now I want you guys to think of the Passover that they tell you about in this Bible, where a spirit came across the land and murdered everyone, killed all the people who did not obey a order, a ritual task, a requirement that was given to them by prime creator. According to this Bible, there was a Passover that came and killed a lot of men for not paying attention. Well, I want you to think about that and think about this green light that I'm telling you about, that canvassed everything. You see that everywhere you look. This green light is showing you its sustainability, as well as showing you that if there's anything that could fit the description of something that will be a Passover, it will be light passing over everything, because the sun is all-encompassing, it is omnipotent, it is omnipresent, it is benevolent. All of these things. It can also be the total opposite of everything good on the rim of prosperity and become all that of adversity, because everything that exists is a coagulation of sunlight, regardless of what type of foolishness you have consumed in your mind. Otherwise, this be the way it is set up by the universe to be abiding. Nothing really is going to be able to change that. Okay, now listen what it said. It said, ye know that after 2 days is the feast of the Passover, and the Son of Man is betrayed to be crucified. Then assembled together the chief priests and the scribes and the elders of the people unto the palace of the high priest, who was called Caiaphas, and consulted that they might take Jesus by subtlety and kill him. That means like creep up on him with the smallest little inclination of our presence, even coming at him, accuse him of a bunch of crazy charges, and pretty much murder him. Just like what happened in Malcolm X, what happened to Martin Luther King, what happened to Trayvon Martin, what happened to Tupac Shakur, what happened to Biggie Smalls, what happened to all other people that is here to do a job of upliftment, even if they don't know that themselves, and then start doing destructive work with their charismatic ability to entertain or gather the masses. Either way, the true energy source be the daemon of those that's required to do a specific job for the universe, or they know it not, to be the true royal job. True energy objective is to repair the earth. Okay, so remember, the people unto the palace, the high priest, they was all called together, and they consulted that they might get together to creep up on Jesus, this imposter of a Tsar, Yeshua. All this being the story of man, of the bloodline of the Son, coming to earth to do the repair birth to the mental consciousness of the man, gods on earth that has lost knowledge of themselves being that. That's what this is all about. It's so many books written, so many different places, only here on earth, that you have one book that has stagnated all the knowledge of everything in the universe and got you all shut down. And this one book I'm reading to you from right now. And that's sad. Okay, but they say not on the feast day. Oh, you know, we don't kill him, but we're going to pay attention to the fact that we won't do it on the feast day. You know, never mind that we shouldn't be murdering, period. We're going to overlook the fact that we doing the evil crime of murdering someone like Jesus, okay? That ain't no big deal, we can do that. But we better not do it on the day of the feast. Ain't this some crazy stuff? Isn't this ridiculous? Listen to it, okay? But they said, not on the feast day. Alright, lest there be an uproar amongst the people. You know, the people gonna get mad if you kill Jesus on the feast day. We better not do it on that day. We need to do it on a day where it ain't gonna piss the people up. See, we interrupt their holiday and they ain't got no way to go out and be foolish ass consumers. You know, we done taught them to be upset if stuff like that happens. You know, they ain't supposed to be listening to a sorry when he say boycott Walmart or all that. This running people crazy because we done taught them how to follow fasts and foolish holidays. And so we had to give them a reason to hate the thought of not doing that. After all, we did a lot of work to have this foolishness implemented. So why should we be not in this same expeditious type of attitude to make sure that it remains implemented? Okay, now listen. Now when Jesus was in Bethany, in the house of Simon the leper, there came unto him a woman having an alabaster box of very precious ointment and poured it on his head as he sat at meat. That means that Jesus, according to them, was not vegetarian. Okay? I mean, that's what it says. Which is going to be hard for me to believe because my teachings of Yeshua says that he was a brother of the Essenes. They had crystalline visions of the world, so they never would have participated in the ingestion of meat. If they ate an egg, they would be feeling really guilty about eating an egg, but sometimes circumstances might require where you might have to do something like that. And in that case, you did not take a life because the egg had already been introduced to a survival circumstance that where you know that a few eggs, it's not going to regenerate. And if you are under a circumstance where that egg, that's obvious, you has already fell prey to the energy source of it's not going to regenerate or create any type of animated creature from the condition that it's in right now, and it's your only source of sustainment. You got every right to consume it, and you should consume it if you need to do that to remain alive yourself. But if there's other means available, the egg is probably not the best idea for sustainment, unless of course you really need that because of a health circumstance that do occur in some cases. Okay, alright, now let's get back to this. So now remember, the lady poured the ointment on his head as he sat at meat, but when his disciples saw it, they had indignation, saying, to what purpose is this waste? For this ointment might have been sold for much and given to the poor. When Jesus understood it, he said unto them, why trouble ye the woman? In other words, why are you harassing her? For she hath wrought a good work upon me. That means that what she did was good for me. For ye have the poor always with you, but me ye have not always. Now see, this is what I like to attack and get you to understand. No way in your mind should you be thinking that you, as a society of people, can never eradicate circumstances of poverty. Because you can. You just gotta eradicate greed and mismanagement of the resources. No one should be living in a society where we see skyscrapers everywhere and houses vacant and boarded up. So when you see all this circumstance going on and you see poverty and homelessness, you know that it's generated from corporate greed and corporations who give you this type of stuff to read and fathom in your mind that poverty is a part of existence on earth. It's foolishness. There was no poverty before all the trees got cut down. When people lived in existence where it was so simple to sustain themselves, all you had to do was walk to the tree and pick the fruit from the universe that was given to you, or go to the river, and as long as you respected the river and then want to put a mining operation all through it and destroy everything, the nature would have taken care of everyone forever. But that was labeled primitive by the corporations who wanted to take control of everything, and by taking control of everything they was able to use force to push this type of propaganda under the nose of everyone without you understanding what then happened. They done just gave you permission to overlook the man on the corner begging you and see him as a failure because he doesn't have a job and all that stuff that we all know there's just not ever going to be enough jobs to supply the needed masses with work when we have corporations who don't mind, once they make enough money, firing everybody and replacing their asses with robots. So if they could get a machine that do it for 500 people, you better believe those 500 people just lost their jobs after they made the money, and still expect the people to be the consumers of the product that they used the robot to make now. And the people, dumb as hell, they robots too. Walk, talk, and act just like the machinery. So now the corporations got control over the people and the machinery that they end up using to kill the people, like the guns. So they have much control over the guns because the people that use the guns is the machinery, people, shadow property, sheep property, that they brainwash into not seeing anything wrong with taking these guns that's given to them by these corporations. In this Bible, the black preachers use this Bible the same way the black soldiers use those AK-47s, and the Latinos, all you guys, they keep us so poor that you join the military thinking you're defending your country, and what you do is spread terror and gangsterism for your country. In this Bible, because wherever you go and take over, the next thing they get established is Catholic churches and Christianity. That's the reason why everywhere you go you end up destroying mosques. Okay. Alright, just like the temples of Egypt is run now, that's the same thing happening to all the churches in Iraq and over in Afghanistan. And the mosques that had the nerves to go and destroy all of the dissenters of the African people. Now what goes around comes around. See, that's how this world shows you that every day when it spins around, and what happened today end up being concern of tomorrow. Because that's how it works. That's that spiral I'm telling you about all the time. Okay? So now remember, these people sitting up talking about they couldn't understand why this lady poured the ointment on Jesus, and Jesus speaking out to them saying, because see, this is what they said. They saying this ointment might have been sold for much. In other words, they thinking about the value of the oil, and they can't understand why this lady just came and poured it on top of his head. Because you got to realize that Jesus knows he's going to die through spirit, and this lady knows that he's going to die through spirit. They both know that. So what Jesus is saying is, why are you troubling the woman? These other men don't understand this yet, that she's pouring this on top of him, because she's preparing him for death. And listen what Jesus said, you have the poor always with you, but me ye have not always. But then, why would he say that when he always claimed to be your forever Savior for real? So he's saying he only exists while he's in the flesh right now, or either he's saying that you only have my flesh right now. It's all confusing. But I'm reading it, so I'm asking you a question. Maybe you can help me with it, because he said, for ye have the poor always with you, but me ye have not always. So that he's saying to you that the poor and poverty is more abiding than him. Right there. If you want to know what is that, this is Matthew 25, chapter 26, verse 11. For you have the poor always with you, but me ye have not always. For in that she hath poured this ointment on my body. See, for in that she hath poured this ointment on my body, she did it for my burial. Now this is when he's opening his mouth, making it clear to them what was going on, because up to this part they probably didn't have no understanding of this. Okay, because remember, they say these are the disciples that saw it, and they had indignation. They was confused, saying, to what purpose is this waste? Okay, for the ointment might have been sold for much. So they don't really care about it being given to the poor, because you remember Jesus saying to them, the poor are going to be around forever. But see, these people probably was thinking of ways to have this money to, you understand, control it and put in their own pockets. Okay? Alright, he says she did it for my own burial. And so verily I say unto you, wheresoever this gospel shall be preached in the whole world, I mean that after this stuff be told to everyone about what happened right here, the sacrifice of this woman, there shall also that this woman have done be told for a memorial of her. Now they